Okay, so let's talk about
the Leafs. Okay.
Let's talk about the Toronto Maple Leafs versus the Tampa Bay Lightning.
They're gonna lose.
You see, so this is what. Let me tell you. Let me tell you what I thought was so funny. The segment that we did was you, Elliot, myself, and we talked about the series, and we didn't. Well, you've just said they're going to lose, but we didn't go that, like, we weren't that specific about it.
I was.
And everybody saw. No, you said if they lose.
No,
you said, I think they could lose. I think
they're going to lose, and I don't think it's going to be close. I think. Something like that. Anyways,
everybody in the comments read exactly what the opposite of their opinion was. These Leafs fans, and then the other people are like, these people don't give the Leafs a chance. And then, so for me, I don't know. I don't know that the Leafs are going to lose. I think that, I think Andrei Vasilevsky is the X factor. It's hard to go against him. Elliot called Vasilevsky the best playoff performer in the NHL. And it's hard to argue with that logic. That being said, like nobody in the history of the NHL, in my opinion, is a goal scorer like Austin Matthews is. Nobody. So here's the thing, right? Last year, when Matthews, there was that meme of it, right? Matthews getting ragdolled by Ben Sherratt and just laughing and smiling. They lost. Look, when Johnny Gaudreau was in the playoffs years ago and he got pushed around and they're like, well, little guy gets pushed around in the playoffs. Johnny Gaudreau can say and do whatever he wants, but at the end of the day, he's always going to be little Johnny Gaudreau, right? Yeah. And so he can talk about not wanting to get pushed around, but like there's not a lot that he's going to be able to do about it. He can get faster. He can do a lot of different stuff. But Matthews not wanting to get pushed around like he did last year. Matthews is like 6'3", 230 or something like that. If he decides that he doesn't want to get pushed around, the man doesn't get pushed around. The man will not get pushed around.
He won't?
I don't think so. And so the way that he individually scores goals, the way that he sets up his own scoring chances, I just think that he is such an individually dynamic player. Ovechkin has, for the vast majority of his goal scoring, has needed a setup man. What we're watching is that Matthews this year will sometimes turn around and just say, hey, you know what? I don't want to lose tonight, and so I'm just going to score 2 goals and win. Mm-hmm. And I don't think that I just don't know any goal scorer like that with that physicality. And now he's on a line with Marner, and who can get pushed around. But Bunting left practice today, eh? He's probably not playing game 1.
No. Yeah.
Wow. Well, this is breaking news to me.
He's probably not going to play game 1.
Really?
In fact, he may actually be like a no for game 1.
Wow. Okay. Well, that kind of blows what I was saying out of the water. But anyways, Matthews, Bunting, Marner is a line that does not get bullied. Tavares is a guy that does not get bullied. Nylander's a guy that does not get bullied. The thing is that the Montreal Canadiens were able.
I think you can bully those guys, and I think it's been proven in the past.
Yeah,
I think you can bully those guys.
The past is the past.
Yeah, I know, but the past is just 10 months ago. It's not like, these guys still have to prove it.
Yeah,
and to me, there are 2 things that are going to decide this series.
Yeah,
goaltending.
Yeah.
And toughness.
Right.
And by toughness, I do not mean fighting. By toughness, I mean digging in and playing playoff hockey.
Yeah.
The Maple Leafs are harder to play against.
Yeah.
They're a tougher opponent, no question about it.
Yeah.
They're not Tampa Bay Lightning tough.
Yeah.
Tampa Bay is going to drag this series. And Sheldon Keefe even said it himself. He said today that they're preparing for it to be a borderline violent series.
What's the borderline?
Yeah. But to me,
we don't expect any fatalities per se.
To me, if as I suspect they will, Tampa drags this series into the gutter.
Yeah,
Leafs are in trouble.
So
they're in trouble. They are in trouble.
I agree. Yeah.
Because,
I don't know,
because Wayne Simmons can't be a factor in this series. Kyle Clifford won't play.
No, I agree with
Jake
that.
Muzzin is coming off an injury. He's their toughest guy. Jake Muzzin is probably their toughest.
Giordano's no slouch. Though.
No,
he's
not,
old, but he's.
But I'm willing to say pound for pound, and just in terms of just overall
grit and
toughness,
snarl. Yeah.
Jake Muzzin is the toughest regular they have on their roster, and he's been hurt half the time.
Yeah.
I don't think what I think about this series is I think the games are going to be close and the series won't.
Do you remember
I think it's going to be 5 games.
Do you remember your favorite tournament of all time, the 2016 World Cup of Hockey?
Oh, I loved it. Yeah.
Sarcasm for those that didn't hear it. I remember that Team USA tried to drag Team Canada down into the muck, and tried to.
That was all Brian Burke. He built that team, and
John Tortorella coached it.
Yeah.
And they had no time for 40 goal scorer Max Pacioretty. They're like, he's got to be.
Yeah, let's take Justin Abdelkader instead.
Yeah, well, they had Pacioretty on the team. They didn't even bring Kessel.
Right.
And then they called out Pacioretty several times for not being tough. Anyways, whatever. Let the goal score goals. Anyways, my point is that at one point there was a insane hit from behind on Shea Weber. It just completely wiped him out. And then I forget who the player was that did that, but he got his comeuppance. Somebody took a number and somebody just wrecked him along the boards. Yeah. And it was a clean hit too. It wasn't in the numbers. It was a clean hit. And you know who that was that wrecked him? It was John Tavares. And that was the moment where I was just like, that guy might have a little bit more fire in his belly than I ever gave him credit for.
Well,
and you see it come out once in a while. He didn't have a chance last year. Anyway,
no, he didn't. But to me,
for a stupid accident.
To me, for an accident. That's exactly what it was. It wasn't intentional. Yeah. We all know that.
Yeah.
To me, I if I were Sheldon Keefe, I wouldn't have said that. I wouldn't have said anything about it being borderline violent. I would have just said, "Hey, we're going to go in and we're going to try and play the game. Like, you are what you are."
Yeah.
You are what you are.
Yeah.
Like, does anybody really think the Leafs are going to all of a sudden become this battle-hardened bunch of grizzled veterans that grind their way through a series?
Yeah.
Like, does anybody think that?
Yeah.
They're not. And they aren't, and they won't become that. And they can't turn that switch on overnight.
Yeah.
What they got to do is turn this into a track meet. Turn it into a goal fest. Turn it into last team scores, last goal wins.
Yeah.
That's what the Leafs have to do to win this series.
Yeah. But that'll never be the series with Andrei Vasilevsky.
Right.
Like, I don't
know. I think he's a bit vulnerable this year. I don't think we saw even the close to the best of Andrei Vasilevsky this year.
Yeah.
And I think he could be vulnerable that way.
I mean, I wonder if we're watching the next phase of his career, though, because there was a moment where Carey Price basically just stopped getting shutouts, because if the game was 2-0 and the other team had pulled the goalie and they're pressing, Price would look at a puck beside him and go, "Nah, I'm not getting that. I'm going to pull my groin. Forget it. This isn't worth it. We're going to win." And so he almost just stopped getting shutouts because it looked like because he just wouldn't put his body in a vulnerable position.
Yeah.
And yet remains possibly the best playoff performing goaltender, right? When you look at every series that he's performed in the playoffs, he's performed exceptionally well. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. So I wonder if we're looking at that with Vasilevsky. I wonder if we're looking at Vasilevsky just turning around and saying, I'm not going to hurt myself. I'm not going to kill myself in the regular season.
Well, I think that's the whole Tampa
mantra
template.
Yeah.
That's the whole Tampa template. I think there were times this year when they were playing at like 80% at most. Down the stretch, they were very good. They were very good.
Yeah. Yeah.
And I mean, they played all their guys. They played all their guys in that game against the Islanders. I think it was the Islanders.
Yeah.
The last game of the season on Friday night.
Yeah.
They played everybody. Stamkos had a hat trick.
Yeah.
Yeah. And there's another guy. That I think is going to be a big time difference maker in this series.
Yeah. He's a good player.
Yeah, he is.
But we forget that though.
No, well, I didn't this year.
No, but a lot of people do seem to forget that.
But for me, Steven Stamkos has had better statistical years than this year.
Yeah.
I think,
but injury.
For the full body of work,
for
what he did this season, I think this season was the best season of his career.
Yeah.
He was a driver. He was like a big time driver this year.
Yeah.
When they needed, when Kucherov was out, when Point was out, they needed somebody to step up
that's
and drive
never
it,
been his
and
bread and butter.
drive it, which he did.
Yeah.
And he went he could have sulked and said, "Screw you, you put me on the wing. I don't want to go back to center now." What did he do? He went back to center, had a great season.
Yeah.
I think he's going to be a real force in this series.
Yeah.
And I just, like I said last week, the Toronto Maple Leafs have built the best regular season team they've ever had.
Yep.
Like, not just in terms of points, in terms of winning percentage.
Yeah.
None of those, like the three teams that won in 62, 63, and 64, never had this winning percentage.
Yeah.
67, obviously, they were big underdogs the whole way through.
Yeah.
But they had dynasties in the 60s and in the 40s.
Yeah.
And they were never this good in the
Interesting.
regular season.
Interesting.
It's the best winning percentage they've ever had.
Yeah.
This might be the best team they've ever had.
Right.
And it's not going to be their fault. If they lose, it's not going to be their fault.
Okay, so before we get to assigning a percentage of how we think that they're going to do or what percentage we think, we did have a quick Twitter question that I think dovetails into what you were just saying.
Okay.
EZ Daddy 79. I know I do the Canadian thing.
Yeah, that's good.
EZ Daddy 79 says, if the Leafs lose in 7 in the first round or second round, would that still be a moral victory? Looks like they have to run the gauntlet more so than in other years, which is exactly what you're saying, is that it's basically not their fault. This is the hardest Eastern Conference. This is the hardest Pacific Atlantic Division, pardon me, the other ocean.
Ever.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I completely agree with you. There is
ever.
Yeah. So, is it still a moral victory if they lose in 7?
It might be, but does it even matter if it's a moral victory anymore? Like, does it even matter?
It won't to Leafs fans.
It won't to Leaf fans, and
it wouldn't
like,
to me.
Yeah, this would be the year when you would least be justified in making sweeping changes.
Right.
If they lost.
Yeah.
Like, if they lose 4 straight and they lose by 3 goals every game, okay.
Yeah.
Then something's wrong. It's broken. Fix it. But if they hang in there for 7 games and they lose in a couple of games in overtime, and they lose to the 2-time Stanley Cup champion who just happened to have the best goalie in the world, and some incredible depth up front, this would be the year when, like, excuse me, a little burp there. Sorry.
Even your Diet Cokes.
To me, this would be the year.
You don't burp with coffee.
Okay. I'll believe you. I don't drink coffee. But to me, this is the year where they've like where you would forgive them for losing in the playoffs.
Yeah.
What they did last year was unforgivable.
Right.
It was unforgivable.
You think so?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Losing to Montreal after being up 3-1, that was unforgivable.
I look at that as losing to Carey Price, though. Like, to be honest, like, even a friend of mine, like, I kind of was giving him like the little consolation speech because he lost a very, very small but token bet with me over that.
Right.
And and I was saying, like, dude, like, Carey Price just took the series from you, and he didn't give it back.
Right.
And sure enough, he was editing some footage on that series just recently, and kind of texted me and was like, you know what? I'm watching this and there's like 9 or 10 guaranteed goals.
Yeah.
Like, just anybody could have scored that. I could have been on the ice in my street shoes and scored from there that Carey Price robbed. And so I don't know if it's unforgivable last year.
It is. It is in my mind. It's totally unforgivable. You have a 3-1 lead. You
bury it.
You bury it.
Yeah.
Yeah. No. And this year someone's probably going to pay. And it's probably the least justified that it would have ever been. That's
fair enough.
Yeah.
Yeah. Shall we move on to the Minnesota Wild?
I don't know. Are we doing that percentage thing?
Oh, yeah, we're doing that percentage. Okay, What do you give them?
I'm more definitive than the other guys are that we're talking about. I'll say 58-42 for Tampa.
Oh, okay. I was going to say 48 for the Leafs. So that's 52.
Yeah, 52-48.
That's pretty close.
Yeah, that's fairly close.
You're a lot less definitive than I thought you were going to be. I thought you were going to start talking like Craig Button. I don't even think they're going to win a game.
Yeah, no, I would not be I would not be shocked if the Leafs won this series.
So
I don't think they're going to win it, but it wouldn't shock me.
now let's be clear that this is based on regular season stats that go into this winning percentage. And the Tampa Bay Lightning clearly did take it easy for a lot of the regular season. So let's just be clear on that before I say this. According to moneypuck.com, the Toronto Maple Leafs have a 66.5% chance of winning this series.
That's stupid. And I didn't even mean to make you laugh. That's just stupid.
Write a letter to them.
How can anybody give the Maple Leafs 2/3 chance to beat the 2-time Stanley Cup champion?
Because of what I just said.
Yeah, I know.
It's going by regular season statistics.
Okay, but that's just dumb.
Well, you know, the exception that proves the rule.
Okay.
Maybe. But anyways,
All right.
I give the Leafs 48% chance. It would be the most mild form of surprise if the Leafs won that I've ever had. I'd be like, oh, hey, you know?
Yep.
Now, I'll go and troll Leafs fans on Twitter for sure. No, I'm just kidding.
Yeah.
I'm like the least trolly person on Twitter that you've ever met. All right, let's move on.